Hey everybody, what's up? It's Michael Jarrell here for the Topwater King YouTube channel, and we're going to be talking about some of my favorite baits to teach people how to bass fish, and just fish in general. Really, it's not just bass fishing; it's just fishing in general. So I've got a couple different soft plastics, and I've only actually have two hard baits, and I'll get into the reason why that here in a second. But the reason why I wanted to make these videos is because I know a lot of people who watch my channel aren't necessarily just for bass fishing, or some people may be wanting to learn how to bass fish a little bit more this year. And I thought, you know what, why not make a couple videos here as it starts getting closer and closer to spring? Why not make some videos talking about how to bass fish and stuff like that? Now, some of you guys may or may not know, but here in Illinois, we have some really weird weather. Yes, actually, it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday, I believe it was. The high was for the whole day was 3 degrees. It actually got to 5, surprisingly, but that was it. That's as high as it got the whole day. Pretty much just stayed inside for most of the time. But tomorrow, the high is 44. Today's high was 22. Tomorrow's high is 44. Then it goes to 55. And then for almost 3 days straight, it's going to be 60 degrees. Like, what the heck? Like, I don't understand. It's going to be almost 60 degrees for 3 days straight. At least for 2 days straight. If my phone weather is correct, it should be around 60 degrees for 2 days straight at least. Like, what in the world? But what that does give me the opportunity to do is possibly finally get to go fishing again. It's been forever since I've gotten to go fishing. Pretty much when you guys seen that video of me catching that bluegill, that was pretty much one of the last days I got to fish before it just froze up and just stayed froze. It was just done after that. It was just hard ice for the rest of the time. It's been frozen since then. I haven't gotten to fish at all. Just nothing. So if I do get to fish, I'll be doing some videos. That'd be for sure. Doing some lure reviews and some fishing videos. Hopefully some in-depth episodes and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and get into this video. So I'm sure you guys probably clicked on this video to learn how to bass fish. And these are my favorite baits personally to teach people how to bass fish. And I'll get into the reason why on certain baits and stuff like that. But first we're going to be talking about the baits that I started bass fishing with. Topwater baits. One of them was a popper, not this popper. The reason why I chose this popper over the popper that I actually used is they don't sell the popper that I actually used anymore. I haven't been able to find it in a long time, but I know you can buy these poppers, this popper specifically, at most Walmarts. So I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and feature this one instead of the original one. And I also know that you can buy these at most Walmarts and Bass Pro Shops. Maybe not in this color. You know, they make frog colors. Don't worry about those frog colors. Get something either black, white, or shad colored. Silver and black, something around that is perfect. This one here, black and white Heddon Topwater Torpedo. And this one here is a Rebel Foxy Shad is the color on this. I actually Googled it. Popar, Rebel Popar. Reason why I choose a lot of topwater baits during when I'm trying to teach people how to bass fish. It is so much easier to teach somebody how to bass fish using topwater baits because you'll get them hooked instantly. When they see a big fish, whether it's a big fish or a small fish, when they see that fish come up and just bust on the surface and hit that shad or hit that bait that you're throwing, they're going to be hooked. I hooked one fish, one bass, throwing this bait right here. That bait right there. Very first day I ever caught a bass on lure. Casted it out, hit the water, and I was sitting there just kind of moving along very slowly, and all of a sudden, wham! Just out of nowhere. And I just started reeling because I knew that fish hit the bait. I just started reeling because I didn't set the hook. And I caught that fish, and I was like, wow, that was really cool. And I've been hooked on it ever since. And now I have my own lure company, and I have thousands of lures. I'm not even joking, thousands of lures. Like I have 5 of these boxes. I have 5 of them. I have 5 of those and 2 more somewhere. They're not in here. They're actually in the other room. Plus I have, well, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 rods in here. Plus I have a crap load more in the other room. I have a bunch of bait casters and spinning rods and stuff like that. So these topwater baits, if you're trying to get somebody into fishing, just get them on a really good day of topwater fishing. Middle of the summer, early morning or late in the evening. When I first started bass fishing, it was actually, believe it or not, in the middle of the day. It was probably about noon, 11 o'clock, and the fish were still busting on topwater. And I just happened to get lucky to go over there and catch some fish. It was in the middle of the day. It wasn't actually in the morning or the evening. Now, it's not unlikely, or it's not a uncommon thing for fish to be feeding on topwater in the middle of the day, but you're more than likely not going to. I've done it many times. I caught one of my biggest limits on topwater throwing it in the middle of the day. Literally, like, sun up, straight up in the air, 100 degrees outside, fishing a frog, and caught one of my biggest limits. It happens. It's not uncommon, but it is more likely to catch them in the early mornings or late in the evenings right before dark. The reason why I chose these topwater baits here is they're not too big. Smaller fish will hit them. Smaller fish will hit big baits. I'm not saying they won't, but it's easier for somebody who is getting into topwater fishing or getting into fishing in general to throw something this small on a spinning rod or on a push button rod. Heck, I've thrown poppers like this on this guy right here, if I'll get it out without breaking it, which is almost impossible. This ice rod. I've thrown poppers just like that there on that ice rod to do a challenge. Ended up catching a fish on it, but didn't get on video. So, doesn't really count, I guess, then. But small topwater baits are great when you're trying to get somebody into fishing. Something, small is perfect for those smaller fish. Bluegill will hit these. I've caught some pretty good sized bluegill on this bait. One day I was actually out fishing for bass, and these bass were slamming bluegill right up on the bank, and actually had about a probably 8-inch bluegill actually eat this popper. When I was trying to catch the bass that was trying to eat the bluegill, I actually caught the bluegill on that bait, and it works. They work. Small topwater baits are great for teaching people because they see that bass come up and they blow up on it, and then they hook it. I've been hooked for almost 5.5 years now, so it works. Just trust me on that. Other baits that work, these are all soft plastic baits, and the reason why is soft plastic baits help people learn how to fish a little bit more effectively. Topwater baits are obviously they're good, but you're not going to get somebody who instantly knows how to hook set with a swim jig. You're not going to get somebody who instantly knows how to fish a Texas rig. Stuff like these here are decently easy baits. Something like a small 2-inch swim bait from Doc's Lure Company or the little 1.5. My mom, I'm not going to say she's a bad fisherman because she smoked me on crappie fishing and bluegill fishing Sundays. But, she doesn't throw, big Texas rigs and jigs and stuff like that. Usually, I'll set her up with either a 1.5 or a 2-inch swim bait. And if for whatever reason they're not hitting that, a 4-inch or a 6-inch boomstick. That's it. That's all she uses. And sometimes she smokes my behind fishing. And, I know they're there. I've caught fish, but sometimes, she figures them out before I do because I'm out there throwing, 8-inch worms trying to catch a monster. And, she'll be over there catching 10-inchers and 8-inchers on small swim baits, and it works. When you're trying to get somebody new into fishing, give them something small, and those fish will eat them. That's why I chose the 4-inch boomstick and the 4-inch ultra finesse worm. Something like those baits, you hook them. You can hook them on a small Texas rig like this guy right here. That's a 4-aught hook, but something smaller like a 2 or a 1-aught. And with that little 4-inch ultra finesse worm, you can just take a small jig head like that, and all you got to do, tell them to cast it out and reel it very slowly. You tell them to do that, the fish will do the work for you. All they'll do is they'll just jump on your lure. My mom's personal best, how she caught it, 6-inch boomstick, green pumpkin magic, threw it out there, and she was just reeling it. And I told her, let me know when you get a bite. And when you set the hook on one, make sure you set the hook good and holler at me. Well, She didn't say anything. First cast, she cast it right out there using a weightless, just plain weightless boomstick with a 4-inch or a 4/0 hook. Sitting there crawling it really slowly. 15-pound braid on a big bluegill crappie spinning rod. Sitting there creeping it real slow, and all of a sudden I just hear her drag go zzz, and she caught that fish. I helped her get that fish up on the bank. It was about a 2.5 pounder, which she hasn't been bass fishing for all that long, but you know, it's a pretty good fish. That is her personal best right now with that 6-inch boomstick. You know, all you have to do is tell him just to slowly creep that bait, and it works. My brother, I was actually throwing a 4-inch boomstick, or 4-inch ultra finesse worm. When I first came out with it, I told my brother, I said, here, you take this. I put it on a small jig head just like this. I told him, you just creep it along really slowly and something will jump on your line. And sure enough, probably about 2 casts later, he actually caught about an 8 to 10-inch bass. And after he caught the fish, he was kind of done. He didn't want to fish anymore because he accomplished his goal of that fish, and he was happy. You know, and I don't blame him. You know, I used to be the same way when I was, you know, real small like he was. You know, it's fine. I don't care. But, you know, when you're trying to get somebody into fishing, a smaller bait will work. But some days, a bigger bait can help. And these here aren't giant, but these are stuff that you can fish the same way you can fish that small stuff. Cast out and just slow creep it in. A 6-inch finesse worm, Doc's Lure Company 6-inch finesse worm, or the 7-inch Wrangler worm. The reason why I included these baits is when you reel these baits, if you reel this one in just really slowly, these ribs right here plus this tail have a really unique kind of an S action in the water. It's a very subtle S action, but it's a really good action. Another thing about this Wrangler worm, obviously it's a ribbon tail bait, so that tail, even though you're moving it very slowly, that tail's still curling back there, and it will get those fish's attention. And even though you're just swimming it real slow, they will bite. And sometimes it doesn't matter how slow you reel it. Sometimes you can just be burning it like this right here. Sometimes you can be almost not even moving it, and they will hit. You know, there was a day this past year where I had my mom set up with one of these on just a plain Jane, unpainted jig head, just like that guy right there. I told her, cast it straight out, let it sink to the bottom, and then just slow reel it in. She cast it out, let it sink to the bottom, and all of a sudden her line was just swimming away. And she flipped her bail, started reeling it, and all of a sudden there's a fish on there. Sometimes you don't even have to do anything with these baits. Sometimes just the initial reaction of the bait hitting the water will catch the fish. Now, another thing, this is a very big key as well. If you are a fisherman, a very accomplished fisherman, such as myself, I'm not going to say I'm the best in the world, but I am, you know, a little bit more accomplished than, you know, some other people. If you want to teach somebody, like I teach my brother how to fish, I take him out to my pond with a small 1.5 swim bait, and we catch bluegill almost all day. You know, if you're wanting to teach somebody how to bass fish or how to fish in general, take them to a small pond, I'm not saying, you know, 2-3 acre pond. I'm talking really small, you know, maybe, you know, 50 feet wide by 60 feet long or something like that. Something really small. You know, something that has a very big concentration of fish. It doesn't have to have a bunch of 10-pounders in it, because if you set that bar too high, they're going to expect that everywhere, and that's not what you want in a small child. Because you get that small kid on his first cast, he catches a 10-pounder, then he's going to think that every cast is a 10-pounder, and that's not what's going to happen. That's a very once in a lifetime deal. When you're trying to get somebody into fishing, or you're trying to get somebody on, you know, a good bite, go to a small pond and throw something small like a small swim bait or a small stick bait like that. Throw something smaller and get those smaller fish. When those small fish see those baits, they will hit almost anything, especially right in the middle of the summer, early morning. You get them up really early, or you go out right before dark. Even at dark sometimes you can catch the fish. I've had many a days where I was out there throwing a frog for hours. Nothing happened, and then it got really late in the day, and for some weird reason, I mean, I just caught a crap load of fish. And it happens like that sometimes. Sometimes you can fish for hours with a ton of different baits, and then all of a sudden, that light change will just turn them all on. And that can be what happens. You know, just take them to a small pond. You know, you don't even have to leave your city sometimes. I've seen a lot of ponds in the middle of the city. You know, there's a pond way up north of here over in Indiana. It's literally right next to a Walmart. I want to go fish it. I've seen people fishing it. I've literally seen a guy holding a fish at that pond but I can't fish it because it's probably private property and that person might own it. I don't really know. But it's literally in town next to a Walmart. So I really want to go fish it, though. I've literally seen somebody holding a fish. Couldn't tell what it was, but I know he was holding a fish. You know, sometimes you don't even have to leave your city. You know, get on that Google Maps. I see people talk about that all the time. I don't personally do it because a lot of the land around here is private property, and you might just get shot or press charges on you, and nobody wants that just for a couple fish. But go, you know, try to find places, you know, even public parks, public ponds, public lakes. They do hold fish sometimes. Now the ones locally here are trash. I mean, most of the banks are lined with trash, and honestly, it's so much you can't even pick it up because it'll just be there again tomorrow. You know, most of the time around here, you have to go to a private place that nobody knows about to even catch fish. And even then, you know, you're not going to be on a fire bite that you're going to catch 100 fish a day. You're going to have to find a place that's pretty secluded that nobody fishes, and that's a pretty hard thing to do. But if you can do it, and you can get those people that you're trying to teach, you can get them on fish, and you can keep them on. So, if you want to purchase any of the soft plastic baits in this video to help you or you help your family or friends catch fish, let me know down in the comments, or you can email me at the email in the description down below. I'll give you prices and the number of baits that come in each pack and the colors as well. So, thank you guys for watching once again. With this weather going to be like it is, I might be doing some in-depth episodes. I might just be doing some random fishing videos. Lord knows I'm going to be doing some product reviews because I've got a lot of baits that I've been accumulating here lately. And I really want to go out and throw them. But it's all been frozen. But with it being almost 3 days straight of 60 degrees weather, there's a good possibility that we could finally catch a bass. And that'd be great. So thank you guys for watching once again. Bye.